Does this mean that perhaps the American formula for entertainment has already become saturated, and that they're looking outwards at other places for fresh new angles, fresh new perspectives?
China, like many other countries in the world, is still very much fascinated by the American Hollywood model. Something that Hollywood movies have been trying to do over the last few years is they put mga Chinese references or Chinese actors into their Hollywood productions.
Right.
And they found out the hard way that Chinese audiences don't go into a Hollywood movie wanting to see Chinese people. So parang it's counterproductive. They're still very much enamored with the Hollywood model, but it's very difficult to get into the Chinese filmmaking, into the cinema, because they only allow something like 30 films a year from other countries. Kaya
Very
patayan talaga to get into Chinese cinemas. So sometimes what they do is they'll team up with a local studio, a local producer from China, so they can apply as a China co-production rather than as a foreign film. That's why you see the Alibaba logo in front of Mission Impossible 5, in front of Star Trek 3.
Yes.
It's weird. Alibaba is producing movies, pero okay, it makes some people happy, I guess. Versus yung negative reaction ng mga tao when they added a scene with a Chinese doctor in Iron Man 3 that America never even saw. China did not take that well. They saw it for what it was. It's pandering. It's like, we want to see Iron Man. We don't want to see some Chinese guy.
Yeah, the Chinese character that they inserted in the Star Wars, the last two Star Wars sequel. And then they took out later on kasi hindi nag-work.
I wouldn't say a shift, but that opening is not something that we feel the West is trying to encourage for variety, but more of it's a need that they have to penetrate because Asia is growing.
Well, a lot of the time, kasi when you shoot in foreign countries, it helps with applying for permits if you hire some locals. And also, it helps also to promote your movie if you're going to have some recognizable local faces. But it doesn't always work out in the film's favor. Kasi, yun nga, audiences can see pandering a mile away. And kung basura yung pelikula, it doesn't matter who you put in there, honestly.
It's not business. Parang at the end of the day, it's still art.
No, it's still business. The studios will still try.
At the end of the day, the product has to be artistic.
Or
still,
at least
right?
entertaining, siguro.
Ako, I believe it's still economics talaga. Particularly the China market. Because as a matter of fact, Hollywood films, and they measure their box office. They look at the domestic in the US and in the world. And then China is a separate chunk. Like, if you don't do well in the rest of the world, let's wait. Because you might have done really, really well in China, and that could spell the difference of whether you were a hit or not. So it's really an acknowledgement of particularly the Chinese market as a chunk of that can actually determine whether your film can make it or not. So parang ganun. And part of being creative about it is throwing in a few characters here and there na Chinese that maybe hopefully the Chinese people can relate to yung mga ganun.
And then bring in a little of their culture every now and then so that they can actually they can recognize in the movie. Importante yun.
Pero on the other side of it is like what Misha was saying, they don't really care about seeing Chinese stuff in the movies, halimbawa, diba? Like Iron Man, but I don't want to see anything Chinese about Iron Man. So I guess they're still sort of finding the balance somewhere, how that works.
Agree. Totoo.
So in a way, it's never marketing. It's never about the market. It's being able to show something new or something artistic to the market, right?
The bottom line, I think, is really it's really economics.
Economics talaga.
It's the market.
It's a business.
Even if you're using a Chinese person to draw in the Chinese market dun sa movie mo, they're not stupid eh. They can tell pag you're just doing it to get their attention. If it's not organic to the story, then it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Bakit
Yeah.
ganon?
True.
Misha, at the end of the day, nag-box office ang Parasite. And there's nothing Western in Parasite. Not even the, what you call this, not even the pancit that they
Yeah.
that they
And
made,
that's
right?
what I like about it. Kasi maganda talaga yung kwento. It tells a universal story that everyone can relate to now.
Right.
Yung the haves and the have-nots is
Right.
very relevant
Mhm.
in this time. And yung maganda sa kanya is it plays with so many expectations. Diba yung nasabi ni Rico, it's like you're watching 2 or 3 different genres all happening at the same time. It's funny, it's dramatic, it's scary in some parts. And yung maganda ron is how they play with it. It doesn't take much imagination to redo this whole thing as a comedy, for example. Diba?
Because
Pero
the
yun yung
elements
maganda
are
sa kanya.
already there.
Absolutely. And you see some of that. Yung maganda talaga sa kanya is it plays with all those different kinds of genres and expectations, and it made something unique. Feeling ko kaya siya bumenta. And you didn't need, even if it was subtitled, even if it was something completely different from what white people would understand. I mean, they were still able to connect to the themes. Kaya siya bumenta.
I would really like to understand how to make a movie. Is it like, for instance, the concept? Does it have to be what the market wants or what the market needs? Or can it be like, for instance, if I were a producer, because that's what's happening in the Philippines right now, right? Like if I were the producer, will I just let the director, the how they put it, the creative people play around and then come out with different concepts? I mean, which comes first?
Unfortunately, our movie market is not as developed as some other places. By and large, buhay na buhay pa yung studio system dito. And films will be sold more on the names that you put on the poster than the stories that they're trying to tell. 9 times out of 10.
Misha, what's a studio system?
The studio system is the studio owns you, heart, mind, body, and soul. Basically, they're the ones who decide what movies you make. They're the ones who decide what kind of image you project. They're the ones who decide how you're marketed. Basically, they own you. Hollywood moved away from that in I want to say the 70s. Pero before that, all of them, if you work for Fox, you work for Fox. You work for Warner Brothers, you work for Warner Brothers. Ganun din dito. You work for Star
Misha,
Studios.
the way my impression is that you feel that that kind of system is actually
80s,
hurting
no?
the industry
It is.
more than helping. Why?
Pag sinabi ng studio, hindi ka pwede maging action hero because we have too many action heroes already in our studio. We want you to be a romantic lead. Paano kung hindi mo yon forte? O hindi bagay sa'yo? Pero sinabi lang nila kasi puno na. Or you're somebody who is maybe you're gay, but you look great with this young starlet. Okay, you're a love team. Wala kang choice. Anong gagawin mo? You're gonna say no to a career?
Yeah. The studios kasi tend to spend a lot more. And when you spend a lot more on a movie, parang you want to go with the tried and tested formulas. Parang you don't want to experiment. Kasi if you lose, then you lose big.
And they have the money.
Usually they have the money. So the more inventive ones, the more original thinking ones siguro would be the independent cinema. Kasi they work with a very meager budget. So even parang hit or miss yan eh. So if you make it, if you strike it big with a very small budget, swerte ka. But if you lose, then at least you don't lose a lot. So yung studio system na sinasabi ni Misha, yan yung mga Star Cinema. I'll mention it na Star Cinema, Viva, konti na nga lang sila, Regal. Kasi everybody knows naman who the players are now. Wala na yatang Seiko. Viva has a segment that actually produces independent film.
Right.
So parang that's where they sort of experiment. Parang ganon. So they're able to do both the big budget commercial films that are mainstream, which is most likely than not a rom-com or an action film, and then the more original stories doon nila linalagay sa sa independent, which I think is good because it sort of balances.
That's why I look forward to mga like festivals like Cinema One, Cinemalaya, mga ganun. Because
Cinema One.
that's where you'll be able to see your mainstream stars doing completely different things. Because these are independent films, it lets them experiment more. Tama yung sinabi ni Rico eh. So you can be a star cinema talent for, 10 months of the year. Pero for 1 or 2 months, you shoot this little indie film, and then that's where you can fulfill your artistic aspirations. And then you can go back to your mainstream thing after.
How active or how successful are these independent experiments? Do we have anything that's approaching the level of what
Hit or miss?
Agree, hit or miss. Kasi wala nga silang pera eh. So, it limits the kind of genres that they can play.
Hit or miss. A surprise hit. I don't know if that was last year. Yung Jowa Ball. Did you see that, Mish?
I saw the trailer, pero hindi ko naabutan sa sinihan.
It's called Jowa Ball. It came out in Netflix also. It was based on a clip that a director did and put on YouTube, and then it became viral. It had like millions of views, and then Viva picked it up and developed it into a full film. It was one of the biggest earners last year.
Right. And
how good was it, Rico, in terms of quality? I haven't seen it, obviously.
I don't wanna say.
Okay.
I saw the trailer.
Well, it's fun.
Wala akong natawa sa trailer.
It was fun. It was a fun film. It was fun. It was fun. It was young. It was it's very today. It earned so much last year. Parang biggest surprise. May mga ganyan eh. There have been a few of those in the last few years. Yung parang spending so little but earning so much. Yung mga
But that's still the that's still the operational system of the industry. It has to earn back what they put in. Otherwise, there's no chance of the movie getting made, right? It's still an ROI based system.
That's true. And for a longest time, that was a problem, especially maglalabas ka ng pelikula, tapos pag hindi siya kumita within 3 days, tatanggalin ng theaters.
Yeah.
Ang maganda ngayon is because of the internet and because of a growing local film community that's not interested in the studio releases anymore, there are more venues now to get your films shown, whether it's an online platform or mga small cinemas like Cinema 76 sa Mandaluyong, sa Mandaluyong, or even Black Maria, which is also Mandaluyong, diba? You can see films that either disappeared from the mainstream cinemas or never appeared in the first place.
Since I saw General Luna, I was looking forward to watching more independent movies. I do have a yearning to watch locally made independent films. I think there's a lot of good ideas out there. I think there's a lot of stories that need to be told. I think there's a lot of good work out there. But where are the venues? I don't know where to watch them. Cinemalaya, I think, comes up every so often, but only for a short period of time, right? And for a working person such as myself, having to go and chase these films sometimes isn't possible, right? And so when it's gone, it's gone. I don't see the works ever put up online on Netflix, for example. They're gone. That's it. And my opportunity to watch something like that has disappeared. You mentioned, Misha, that the internet's there. How come we're not using it? How come we're not putting these films on the web as often as we can?
Okay. Well, let's say you make a movie for Cinemalaya, and then after that, you're going to be entering it into mga different film festivals later on throughout the year. So while you're doing that, you don't want to preempt it by putting it somewhere online where they might see it before it premieres in their individual festivals. That's a problem. Another problem is, let's say tapos na yung festival run mo all over the world, inikot mo na lahat.
Right.
There's no one here. It's not worth anybody's money to put that movie on home video here. unfortunately. Even classic movies na supposedly na-restore lahat-lahat, Oro Plata Mata, Himala, the best ABS-CBN could do was put them out in cardboard cases. It was sad. Because yun nga, for the fact, the bottom line, nobody buys home video here, honestly, when you can do things online. So the best you can hope for is that it falls into something like iFlix or I Want TV, one of those platforms. Pero otherwise, your best bet is yung mga small na art house cinemas like Cinema 76 or Black Maria. And they tend to bring back a lot of the popular festival films throughout the year. Kailangan mo lang i-check yung schedule nila. Pero
Okay.
as for on-demand,
Abangan, oo.
hit and miss.
Why is it that the Philippine industry, Philippine entertainment industry, is not taking advantage of any of these right now?
One of the studios that's been making good progress as far as getting new original work out is TBA Studios. And if you go to their YouTube channel, especially since the quarantine started, they've been uploading a lot of their back catalog. So I guess that's a start. Films like I'm Drunk, I Love You, or Sunday Beauty Queen, you can watch them now on YouTube in full, in HD.
What's it called, Misha?
TBA Studios. They have a YouTube channel. And there's a lot of good stuff there.
You know about TBA Studios, for example, right?
Yeah.
It's out there. But this is the first time I'm hearing about it. Rico obviously hasn't heard about it as well. Grace probably hasn't heard about it either. So I think that's another problem. We're not able to promote what we've worked on. And I think that's a big part of the problem, because I know more about Parasite, for example, than I do about what's showing on TBA.
I think yung big problem is Filipinos are conditioned to think that their films are inferior to whatever foreign productions come out.